I didn't sign up for this. That's what the text said. Just 5 words, sitting under a screenshot of our empty joint account. My name is Luca. 32 years old, head mechanic at Wilson's Auto in Spokane. For hours earlier, I'd been sitting in a doctor's office, hearing words like lymphoma and treatment options and survival rates. Stage 2. Treatable, but a long road ahead. I called Vanessa from the parking lot. Told her to meet me at home so we could talk. She said she was busy. Had errands. Would be back later. When I got home, half the closet was empty. Her suitcase gone. Wedding photo removed from the nightstand. Then the text came. Along with the screenshot showing she'd transferred our entire savings, $38,000 we'd put away over 5 years, to an account with only her name on it. I stared at the message for a full minute. Typed back 2 words, take care. Then I put my phone down, opened a beer, and sat on our back deck watching the sunset. Didn't cry. Didn't throw anything. Just sat there, feeling the weight of everything shift. The cancer I could face. The betrayal was something else entirely. Tim from next door saw me sitting there and walked over to the fence. Everything all right? Saw Vanessa peel out of here earlier with her car packed up. Got some health news, I said. She didn't take it well. Tim nodded, not pushing for more. Let me know if you need anything. Lisa makes a mean casserole. Appreciate it, I said. After he left, I went inside and pulled out the folder my Uncle Brian had given me last month. He'd retired from estate planning last year but still kept his hand in. When my grandfather passed in February and left me that small piece of land up north, Brian had helped me get the paperwork straight. Everyone needs their affairs in order, he'd said. Especially when you're married. Protect each other. I'd started the process. Updated my will. Listed Vanessa as co-owner on the '69 Mustang I'd restored, though I hadn't filed the final paperwork with the DMV yet. Set up a secondary account at a different bank for the land sale proceeds when that went through. All to protect us. To protect her. Funny how things work out. I picked up my phone and called Brian. When he answered, I said, remember that conversation we had about estate planning? I need to make some changes. There was a pause. Everything okay, Luca? No, I said. But it will be. I met Vanessa at my buddy Drew's wedding in 2016. She was a paralegal at a law firm downtown. Smart, quick-witted, beautiful. We moved in together 6 months later, married the year after that. The first few years were good. We saved for a house. Found a fixer-upper in a decent neighborhood. I spent weekends replacing cabinets, refinishing floors, installing new plumbing. Vanessa chose paint colors and furniture. Posted before and after photos online. Called us a renovation success story. My dad died when I was 13. Mom raised me and my sister on a teacher's salary. Taught us to work hard, live within our means, and always have a backup plan. After Mom passed 2 years ago, that backup plan became even more important to me. Vanessa came from different stock. Her parents gave her everything, college tuition, new car every few years, down payment for our house. They never understood why she married a mechanic. Her dad, a corporate attorney, always introduced me as Vanessa's husband rather than using my name. Looking back, I see the cracks started forming well before my diagnosis. 3 months ago, Vanessa started talking about moving to Seattle. Said there were better opportunities there. I resisted, my job was solid, we had friends here, the house was almost paid off. She got quiet after those conversations. Distant. Spent more time with friends I'd never met. Then came the small comments that stung more than they should have. Don't you want to do something more with your life than fix cars? My college roommate's husband just made partner at his firm. They're building a vacation home. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd moved to Chicago after graduation instead of staying here. I ignored the signs. Told myself every marriage has rough patches. That we'd work through it. When I found the business card for an apartment complex in Seattle tucked in her purse, I still didn't confront her. Just quietly called my Uncle Brian to discuss updating our legal paperwork. Started documenting our assets. Just in case. 2 weeks later, I went to the doctor for what I thought was a persistent cold. Found the swollen lymph nodes instead. Then the blood tests. The biopsy. The night before my final diagnosis, Vanessa and I had dinner at our kitchen table. She talked about a coworker's promotion. I watched her face, wondering if she'd noticed the fear in mine. "Everything okay?" she finally asked. "Yeah," I lied. "Just tired." She nodded and kept eating. Didn't push further. Didn't really look at me. That should have told me everything I needed to know. 3 days after Vanessa left, I started chemotherapy. First session hit me harder than I expected. The nurse showed me to a recliner, hooked up before, and asked if my ride was in the waiting room. "Took an Uber," I said. "My wife's out of town." She gave me a look I couldn't quite read, then patted my arm. "First one's the hardest. You'll get through this." I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. Hadn't told anyone except Tim next door that Vanessa was gone for good, not just out of town. Somehow saying it aloud would make it more real. More shameful. When I got home, there was a casserole on my front porch with a note from Tim's wife. "Made too much. Enjoy." I knew it was a lie, but I appreciated it anyway. I tried to eat, but couldn't keep anything down. Ended up on the bathroom floor, sweating and shaking. Alone. That night, I called my sister Ellie in Portland. Told her everything, the cancer, Vanessa, the money. She wanted to drive up immediately. I asked her to wait. Needed to sort some things out first. The next morning, I called my bank. Discovered Vanessa had emptied our accounts 40 minutes after I called her from the doctor's office. Before she even knew the details. Just knew I was sick and that was enough for her to run. Something shifted inside me. The sadness hardened into something else. Not anger exactly. Purpose. I drove to my Uncle Brian's house that afternoon. Brought all our financial documents, property records, everything. "She can't just take your money like that," he said, reviewing the statements. "Joint account," I reminded him. "Her name's on it too." Brian took off his reading glasses. "Luca, what she did wasn't just cold. It might have been illegal. Taking all the money when she knows you're sick, knows you'll have medical bills." "Can I prove that?" "That she knew?" He thought for a moment. "Phone records would show you called her right after your appointment. The bank statement shows when she made the transfer. If you documented your diagnosis date." I pulled out my phone, showed him the text she'd sent. "I didn't sign up for this." Brian's expression hardened. "That's pretty damning." We spent the next 3 hours mapping out a strategy. The Mustang title change. The land sale. My medical insurance and treatment costs. Documenting everything. When I left Brian's house, my phone buzzed. Email from Vanessa's cousin Megan, who'd always been friendly to me. "Luca, I heard what happened. I'm so sorry. I don't know what Vanessa is thinking. Just wanted you to know I'm here if you need anything." I stared at the message for a long time. Then replied, "Does Vanessa know about my diagnosis?" Megan's response came quickly, "Yes. She told everyone you have cancer, but said she couldn't handle it and needed a fresh start. My whole family is shocked." I thanked her and put my phone away. Drove home with the windows down, feeling the summer air on my face. For the first time since the diagnosis, I felt clarity. I knew exactly what I needed to do. 2 weeks into treatment, I got a letter from Vanessa's lawyer. She wanted a divorce. Cited her irreconcilable differences. Requested to be removed from the mortgage but wanted half the equity in the house. Said nothing about the money she'd already taken. Nothing about my illness. I took the letter to Brian. Pretty bold, he said, scanning the document. Takes all your savings knowing you're sick, then wants half the house too. What should I do? Don't respond yet, Brian advised. Let's see how far she wants to push this. The next day, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. Luca, it's Vanessa. This is my new number. I know you're upset, but we need to figure this out. My lawyer says I'm entitled to half the house. I didn't respond. 3 days later, another text, Luca, being childish won't help. I know you're going through stuff, but I have rights too. Going through stuff. Like cancer was a bad mood I needed to get over. I blocked the number. My third chemo session hit me hard. Couldn't keep food down for 2 days. Lost 12 pounds. Ellie finally came up from Portland, stayed for a week. Cleaned the house, stocked the freezer with meals, drove me to appointments. The day before she left, we got another letter from Vanessa's lawyer. More demands. More threats about what I owed her. Ellie was furious. After what she did. She's lucky you haven't taken her to court for the money she stole. We'll get there, I said. The following week, I received a certified letter from the bank. Vanessa had tried to remove my name from our joint credit cards, but couldn't without my signature. She'd also attempted to access our safe deposit box, the one containing the deed to the house, the Mustang title, and my grandfather's will. The bank had denied her access when she couldn't produce the second key. My key. I called Brian immediately. She's getting desperate, he said. Probably realized she left loose ends. What's my next move? Let's close that safe deposit box. Move everything to a new one in your name only. And I think it's time to file those title changes for the Mustang. I took a sick day, though every day was a sick day now. Went to the bank, closed the box, opened a new one. Went to the DMV, removed Vanessa's name from the title that had never been finalized. That night, another text from a new number, you changed the Mustang title. That car is half mine. You put my name on it. I stared at the message. How did she know already? I'd only filed the paperwork that morning. Then it clicked. She must have someone at the DMV feeding her information. Or the bank. Someone watching my moves. I called Brian. I think she has help. Someone telling her what I'm doing. Brian was quiet for a moment. Her father has connections. Wouldn't put it past him. What do I do? Feed them wrong information, Brian said. Let's set a trap. The next day, I called the realtor who'd been handling my grandfather's land sale. Asked her to pause the process. Made sure to mention on the call that I was exploring other options for liquidating assets. Then I called my investment bank, where I had a small 401k from a previous job. Asked about early withdrawal procedures. Made it clear I was considering all options due to medical bills. I waited to see what Vanessa would do next. 2 days later, her lawyer sent a new letter demanding a portion of any proceeds from the sale of inherited property and a fair division of all retirement accounts. Brian smiled when I showed him the letter. She took the bait. Now what? I asked. Now we show our cards, he said. I spent the next month focusing on my health. The treatments were brutal, but the doctors seemed cautiously optimistic. My hair was gone, I'd lost 30 pounds, but my numbers were improving. Ellie came up every other weekend. Tim and Lisa from next door checked on me daily. My boss cut my hours but kept my health insurance active. I was surviving both the cancer and Vanessa's departure. Some days were harder than others. Some nights I woke up reaching for someone who wasn't there. But mostly, I stayed focused on the next step. The next treatment. The next move in the chess game Vanessa had started. Brian called on a Tuesday morning. We got the documents from her bank. Want to guess what she did with your money? Tell me. Transferred it to a new account, then immediately wrote a check for $30,000 to her parents. I sat down. Why would she do that? My guess? Trying to hide it. Make it harder to trace or recover. Can she do that? No, Brian said. That's the beauty of it. She transferred joint funds during a known medical crisis, then tried to hide the money through a third party. The judge is going to hate that. I thought about it. I don't want a long court battle, Brian. I don't have the energy for that right now. Trust me, it won't get that far. Once her lawyer sees what we have, they'll settle. 2 days later, I was leaving my treatment when I spotted a familiar car in the hospital parking lot. Silver BMW. Vanessa's father. He was sitting behind the wheel, watching the hospital entrance. Watching for me. I walked straight to his car. Knocked on the window. He rolled it down, face composed in that lawyer mask I knew well. Luca. You look unwell. Cancer will do that. Why are you here? Vanessa is concerned. Says you're being unreasonable about the divorce proceedings. I almost laughed. Is that what she calls it? Unreasonable? She's prepared to be generous, given your situation. A fair division of assets, including the house. After she took every cent we had? After she left the day I was diagnosed? He had the decency to look uncomfortable. She was upset. Emotional. People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. He sighed. Luca, be practical. You're sick. You need to focus on getting better, not fighting a legal battle you can't afford. That's when it hit me. They thought I was desperate. Thought I was broke after Vanessa cleaned out our accounts. Thought I'd take any settlement just to avoid a fight. They had no idea about the land sale. No idea I'd removed her name from the Mustang title before she could claim it. No idea I documented everything. Tell Vanessa I'll have my response to her lawyer by Friday. I said, turning to leave. Luca, he called after me. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I didn't look back. On Thursday, I met with Brian and the real estate lawyer he'd brought in, Catherine Chen. We reviewed everything, the bank records showing Vanessa's withdrawal immediately after my diagnosis, her text message, the witness statement from Megan confirming Vanessa knew about my cancer, the check to her parents. This is clear-cut financial abandonment, Catherine said. Plus, the attempt to conceal marital assets. No judge will look kindly on this. So what's our move? I asked. We file our own divorce action, she said. We demonstrate abandonment during a medical crisis, financial malfeasance, and attempted concealment of funds. We request full recovery of the missing funds plus legal fees. Will that work? I asked. Catherine smiled. I've never seen a cleaner case. But I don't think it will get that far. Once they see what we have, they'll fold. And if they don't? Then we go to court, and she loses everything, including her reputation. For the first time in months, I felt something like hope. On Friday morning, Catherine sent our response to Vanessa's lawyer. A complete divorce filing with all the evidence attached, bank records, text messages, witness statements, medical documentation. Everything laid out in cold, clear detail. By noon, Vanessa's lawyer requested an emergency meeting. That was fast, I told Brian over the phone. They weren't expecting you to have ammunition, he said. They thought you were too sick, too broke, or too beaten down to fight back. The meeting was set for Monday. I spent the weekend resting, preparing mentally. On Sunday night, I got a text from yet another new number. This is cruel, Luca. I made a mistake, but this is vindictive. My parents can't give the money back right now. You're trying to destroy me. I stared at the screen. Vindictive? I wasn't the one who abandoned a sick spouse and stole their life savings. I wasn't the one hiding behind lawyers and parents. For the first time, I texted back, "Actions have consequences." Monday morning, I met Brian and Catherine at her office. They wanted me there but advised me to say nothing unless directly asked a question. Vanessa arrived with her father and her lawyer, a thin man with expensive glasses and a permanent frown. She looked good. Tanned. Rested. Like the past few months had been a vacation while I'd been fighting for my life. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Her lawyer spoke first. "We've reviewed your filing. While we disagree with your characterization of events, my client is willing to negotiate a settlement to avoid unnecessary conflict." Catherine smiled. "Let me be clear. This isn't a negotiation. It's a courtesy meeting before we proceed to court. Your client abandoned her husband upon his cancer diagnosis, emptied their joint accounts, attempted to hide those funds through her parents, and then demanded additional assets. We have documented everything." Vanessa shifted in her seat. Her father leaned forward. "Surely we can reach a reasonable, your daughter transferred her husband's medical emergency fund to you," Catherine cut in. "We have the check records. Will you be returning those funds today, or shall we add you to the lawsuit for accepting fraudulently obtained marital assets?" The room went silent. Vanessa's lawyer cleared his throat. "What exactly are you demanding?" Catherine laid out our terms. Full return of the $38,000. Vanessa to relinquish all claims to the house, the Mustang, my grandfather's land, and my retirement accounts. She would assume responsibility for all legal fees. In exchange, I would not pursue criminal charges for financial fraud and abandonment. "This is robbery," Vanessa's father muttered. "No," Catherine replied calmly. "Robbery is what your daughter did. This is justice." The meeting ended with Vanessa's lawyer asking for 48 hours to consider our terms. As we left the conference room, Vanessa tried to catch my eye. I walked past her without slowing down. In the elevator, Brian squeezed my shoulder. "You did good in there." "I didn't do anything," I said. "Just sat there." "Sometimes that's the hardest part," he replied. 2 days later, Catherine called. Vanessa had accepted all our terms. Her parents would return the full $38,000 within 30 days. She would sign the papers relinquishing all claims to our property. "It's over," Catherine said. "You won." But it didn't feel like winning. It felt like the end of something I once thought would last forever. Like closing a book halfway through the story. Still, for the first time since my diagnosis, I slept through the night. The settlement money arrived exactly 30 days later, a cashier's check for the full $38,000. I deposited it immediately, then called my oncologist's office to pay down my medical bills. The nurse who'd been with me from the first treatment, Julia, was at the front desk when I arrived. "You're looking better," she said. "Numbers came back good last week." "Feel better too," I said, handing over the check. She glanced at the amount. "Insurance came through?" "Something like that." The divorce was finalized a week later. I signed the papers at Catherine's office, feeling strangely empty. Not sad, not angry. Just done. "What now?" Brian asked as we left the building. "Finish treatment. Get better. Figure out what's next." He nodded. "The land sale should close next month. That's another $65,000. And if you decide to sell the Mustang?" "Not yet," I said. "I'm not ready to let go of everything." That evening, I sat on my back deck with a glass of water, watching the sunset. The nausea from chemo had finally subsided. My hair was starting to grow back, patchy, but there. The doctors were using words like responding well and promising outlook. My phone buzzed. Email from Megan, Vanessa's cousin. "Luca, I heard everything's finalized. I'm so sorry for what my family did to you. Vanessa's parents are selling their Lake Cardialine cabin to cover the money they owe you. My aunt is furious, blaming you instead of Vanessa. But I wanted you to know some of us understand what really happened. I hope you're doing better. You deserve that much. I put my phone away without replying. Didn't need to engage with Vanessa's family drama anymore. It was time to focus on healing. On rebuilding. On whatever came next. 6 months later, my oncologist said the words I'd been waiting for: complete remission. I sat in her office, letting the news sink in. Not cured, lymphoma could always come back. But for now, the cancer was gone. The battle won. What happens now? I asked. Regular checkups. Blood work. Scans every 6 months. But for now, Luca, you go live your life. That evening, I made 2 calls. First to Ellie, who screamed with joy. Then to my buddy Joel in Missoula, who'd been offering me a job at his custom auto shop for years. Still got space for me? I asked. Hell yes, he said. When can you start? A month later, I sold the house in Spokane. Used the money to buy a small cabin outside Missoula, 2 bedrooms, a garage big enough for my tools and the Mustang, and mountains visible from every window. The day I drove out of Spokane, Tim and Lisa from next door came to say goodbye. Lisa handed me a casserole for the road. I thanked them for everything: the meals, the lawn mowing, the quiet support when I needed it most. You doing okay? Tim asked. Really okay? I thought about it. Getting there. 3 months into my new life in Montana, I got a text from an unknown number. Vanessa again. I heard you're in remission. I'm glad. I know you won't believe this, but I think about you often. I made a terrible mistake. I was scared and selfish. I'm sorry, Luca. For everything. I read it twice, considering whether to respond. In the end, I typed back just 4 words: I survived. Be well. Then I blocked the number, put my phone away, and went to work on the Mustang. Not to sell it anymore, to keep it. To restore it again, this time just for me. Some things, once broken, can't be fixed. But others can be rebuilt, stronger than before. I was one of them.